Before we begin, I have just one request. Put on your headphones, turn off the lights, and let the world outside fade away. Because some stories aren't just meant to be heard, they're meant to be felt. Every whisper, every breath, every sound behind you might not be just in the story. So, are you ready? Let's begin. Bash whispers beneath the cellar. They say every house has a history. Some histories are written in deeds and records, others are written in blood. The house on Hollowmere Road had both. When I inherited the place from my uncle, I wasn't thrilled. It was a crumbling two-story Victorian sitting on the edge of an abandoned town called Dorchester Hollow, a place no one I knew had ever visited. But I needed a break from the city, and an old house, even in ruins, was better than my shoebox apartment. The drive out was unsettling. The road narrowed to a single lane, trees leaning in from both sides as though whispering over the asphalt. By the time I arrived, the sun was dipping low, casting the house in a silhouette against a bruised purple sky. It was bigger than I'd expected, too big for one man. The kind of place built for families, large ones. But the windows looked like dead eyes, and the porch sagged under the weight of its years. The paint had long since peeled away, revealing gray, splintered bones beneath. Still, the door was unlocked. It swung open on rusted hinges with a sound like a sigh. Inside, the air was stale and cold. Furniture still stood where it had decades ago, draped in yellowing sheets. Dust motes drifted in the fading light, and the floor groaned beneath my boots. The first night I heard scratching, not in the walls, beneath the floor. Soft at first, then sharper, more frantic, like nails against wood. I told myself it was rats. Old houses had rats. But deep down, I knew it was something else because the sound stopped when I stepped into the room. And once, just once, I heard it whisper my name. The next day, I explored. Most of the rooms were ordinary enough, bedrooms with moldy curtains, a dining room where the chandelier hung like a noose. But in the back of the house, hidden behind a warped bookshelf, I found a door. It led down to the cellar. The smell hit me first: damp earth, rotting wood, and something else coppery, metallic. The air was colder here, heavy, almost wet. My flashlight beam danced across the walls, revealing deep gouges in the stone. At the far end of the room, half buried under debris, was a trapdoor. The wood was blackened, as if burned, and in its center, carved deep into the grain, was a symbol, circular, with jagged lines radiating outward like a broken sun. I touched it. The wood felt warm, and something whispered, soft, quick, too fast to catch the words. I told myself I imagined it. That night, I dreamed. I was in the cellar again, but the trapdoor was open. From the darkness below came a sound, wet breathing, slow and labored. A hand reached up, thin, pale, with nails like shards of bone. It gripped the edge of the door, and something began to pull itself up. I woke before I could see its face. Days passed. The scratching grew louder, more insistent. At night, the whispers came, sometimes from the floor, sometimes from the shadows in the corner of my room. They spoke in voices I recognized: my mother, my uncle, even my own. I started finding things I didn't remember owning: old photographs of people I'd never met, jars of murky liquid with shapes floating inside, a child's shoe with dark stains around the sole, and once, a tooth. Human, still warm. One evening, I heard the trapdoor creak open. The sound was faint, but the house carried it, straight up through the floorboards to where I sat. I grabbed my flashlight and went down. The cellar was darker than it should have been, as though the light refused to settle. The trapdoor was indeed open, and a damp, fetid air seeped from the hole. I don't know what possessed me to look inside. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was something else, something pulling me closer. The beam of my flashlight cut into the blackness and caught movement. Something shifted down there, too far to make out, but I saw the gleam of eyes. They weren't human. Too many. Too still. Then it spoke, not in words, but in a chorus of sounds, 100 voices whispering at once. Some begged, some laughed, some just said my name. That was when the dreams changed. I no longer woke before seeing the face. It was pale, stretched too thin over the bone, the mouth too wide, the teeth too many. It smelled of earth and rot and something older than either. And in every dream, it told me the same thing: let me in. The final night began with rain. It hammered the roof, poured down the windows in rivers. The house seemed to sink into the storm, the walls groaning, the floors trembling. I tried to sleep, but the scratching beneath the floor was frantic now, furious. The whispers were louder, clearer. Open it. Open it for me. Open it, Eleanor. They called me Eleanor, though that wasn't my name. I found myself in the cellar without remembering getting out of bed. The trapdoor was open wide. From below came a light, a dim, sickly green glow that pulsed like a heartbeat. I heard footsteps, but they weren't coming up the ladder. They were pacing in a circle beneath me, just out of sight. Then, a hand. White, wet, nails clicking against the wood. It reached for me, trembling with anticipation. I should have run. Instead, I took its hand. When I woke, I was in my bed. The storm was gone. The house was silent. But something was different. The floor felt softer beneath my feet, as though it had been hollowed. And when I moved, the wood echoed, not like wood, but like a drum. Sometimes at night, I still hear the scratching. Only now it's coming from above me, because I am not in the house anymore. I am beneath it, and someone else is sleeping in my bed.